there was relief. Again, there's still uncertainty of, well, if I need one in 6 months, what does that mean? And the uncertainty. And I think there's something around, like, I don't want to say this lightly, but like, if you've got 6 months to live, what do you want to do? Whilst it's not that, the doctors haven't given me here's 6 months, like, or, you know, in 6 months' time, you know, that's what you've got. And, you know, I know it's wrong to think that as well. I say it's wrong. You know, a transplant also isn't game over. They're getting better and better at doing it every day, every year. There are many, many successful transplants that happen. Yes, there are risks and challenges like any operation, but let's try and look at it as I say good news. And it did make me think, okay, what do I want to do? And again, 6 months, and I wasn't ready to launch straight back into from a business perspective and work. And I remember going back then to see my specialist afterwards and just kind of a review. Again, it's amazing in terms of who's looking after me, and going back, and she said, okay, so we'd like to put a defibrillator inside of you. And I was like, hold on, I've just been told I don't need a transplant, come back in 6 months. And now you're telling me, why didn't Papworth mention this? Why didn't the doctor? Because again, it felt like that was an example of a meeting that was like, I'm going by myself because I don't need anyone else with me. It's fine. And then this curveball that I'm told now that I need a defibrillator putting in. And I was completely taken aback by that. And that was just I'm going to say in my head, much bigger procedure, much more, you know, the reveal device is one thing, monitoring me, but then something that ultimately would shock me. And look, fundamentally to save my life. If my heart's going to stop, it will, you know. And I just said, where did this come from? She said, look, adding it all up, you know, one of the benefits of being looked after by clinic and by the NHS is one doctor, then they work all together, and then they can look and they can compare notes and they can see, and based on everything that they've done, they also did a genetic test, and it was at this stage confirmed that I had something. It's a genetic mutation called FHL1 that was a genetic marker that showed that this is where the thickening of the heart and muscle development in general, that was kind of the concept around that. So I really didn't want it. And I think it was this elation of, it almost reinforced this good news, but then this like, where's this coming from, and not wanting it. And I was really, really apprehensive about it. And I think I was very, very, reticent around it and didn't want to. Funnily enough, a friend of mine as well said we were going to go on holiday together, so we were going to planning something after the assessment. We'd agreed, well, we were going to go somewhere. He then said he couldn't join me, and I originally said I wanted to go to Mykonos, to a Greek island I'd never been to before, and he said, we're not going there because I've been there before, I don't want to go. And then when he turned around and said, I can't come on holiday with you, I thought, right, I'm going to go. And I just got on a plane by myself for 5 days, and I went to Mykonos. When I went there, it was before the season, so beach beds weren't out yet. It was a very fun time. I rented a moped, I drove around the island, and was just, again, very in the moment of being there. And I was in a bar, and I met this guy called Edward, and told him what bits and pieces of what was going on. I was like, oh, and I don't know even where, like, this definitely wasn't a planned thing. Maybe it would be great to work in Mykonos for the summer. And my logic was, I'd worked in a hotel 20 years earlier, and it's so just in the moment and day to day, and you don't need to worry, you know, island life, I guess, you don't need to worry about next week or next month. You're just in the moment, today, tomorrow, what's going on, what needs to happen, there was just something that, I don't know, again, I look back, it's like, what was I doing? And I remember my partner telling him about this, like, oh, I was thinking about this, and what do you think? And I'm looking maybe for somewhere to live here. And it was before Brexit kind of was fully enacted, so you could still just go and spend the summer there, I guess. Anyway, so Edward goes, oh, I'll introduce you to a friend who I used to work for called Sharon from Newcastle. She's an amazing person, and she's hiring people. Happily, we'll go and meet her together. And I'm smiling because I'm like, what was I doing? And I literally drove up, went to her bed and breakfast hotel called Villa Constantine, and met her, and we sat down, and I told her about my health condition. I said, listen, I'm probably overqualified and underqualified at the same time. You know, I worked in a hotel 20 years ago. I love like customer service and people, and the reason why I want to do this is that I just want to be in the moment, day to day, be in the sun while I can. I'm committed, willing to work, do what I need to do, but also there are some things maybe I can't do because of my heart condition. I can't carry certain stuff or do, but otherwise if you're open to it, I'd love to. It was a 10-15 minute conversation, and at the end she's like, yeah, if you want the job, you got it. And I was like, okay. And then I remember calling my partner and telling him about it. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? This is being in hospitality and doing this. And I think it was put out by it, as well as the fact that, well, I'm going to be there for 3 months and be working most days and everything. And so it's not a holiday. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, because again, it's about being in the moment, being consumed and not having to worry in my mind about anything else. Anyway, we agreed. I came back to London to sort stuff out, and I went back at the beginning of June. And I remember calling him on the first day in floods of tears, being like, what am I doing? I was just so tired as well, because I was just, even though I was only in a small area, just walking and doing stuff, and just the role, and I was getting involved in everything, and bar work and cleaning rooms and doing, I think my dad thought I was a general manager at the hotel, but it was anything and everything, because it was a small team. I'll talk more about that, but that was, making that decision and putting the ICD, the defibrillator, which is what it called, making that decision. I spoke to a load of friends, spoke to family, spoke to some doctor friends, and I said, look, I get that I need it. I just want this summer. It just felt like this relief from not needing the transplant now, then suddenly say, you need to do this. And actually I was just like, you know what, I just want a bit of respite and a bit of just with the anxiety and just letting it go and being in the moment and being in the sun. I think that was also a big thing for me. I love the sun, and the thought of having a transplant, having these things, and having the ICD or defibrillator put in then, and then that summer, because I'd had to wait, then there's 6-week recovery. There was just a whole, I'm just like that, and then, then I'm ready for the transplant assessment again, great. And again, it was part of maybe that me and my control being like, you know what, I'm gonna live and I wanna do this. And, is it risky? At the time, I was, again, so apprehensive about it. And they did say you need to be mentally in the right place for that operation. And that was like important. So that was, for then, a decision not to have it then and to push it back and to spend the summer in Greece. So.
An easy and a hard decision.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Are you glad that you, looking back, made that decision?
100% the right decision to make. Sharon, she understood, she got it. It was a challenging summer in some ways, but an amazing dream. We'd get up at 7 in the morning, go swimming in the sea, and be on the beach while no one was there, and then start work at 10 or 11 in the morning and work kind of 8-9 hour shift, meet people and see and make cocktails. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was amazing, and it was in the moment, and it's absolutely one of the best things I've done. Thanks for watching. To find out more about the charities that help support those with heart conditions, their families and loved ones, please have a look at the British Heart Foundation, Cardiomyopathy UK and Save 9 Lives. Feel free to comment on the video and subscribe.